Hey guys, welcome back to Star Wars Outer Rim. So in today's episode, I'm going to be finishing up some of the rest of the town and some utility buildings, and also work on a spaceport type of facility that houses, I think, two motion simulators. So the building in front of you right now I'm working on is just a simple restroom stop for the guests, because in this map, even though it's like very small, it's about, I think it's 60 tiles by 60 tiles or something like that, or I think it's 60 by 70. It's still large enough to the point where multiple restrooms is a benefit for your guests, especially in this type of diorama. So, and makes the buildings not empty, because I feel like a building that's empty is not useful in this nature. So I just made a very basic Tatooine-esque type of building, lots of sandstone, brick, stucco, and then I think a dome on top, and then details of pipes on the side, kind of make it that look like Star Wars-y type of thing. And I was trying out some different things. The doors are all orange because I think that's the color that they use in Star Wars. Yes, they do. Because I rewatched one of the Star Wars again. I can't remember which one I rewatched. I think it was episode, not 3, 2. Episode 2? I think I rewatched episode 2. I can't remember. Clone Wars. So I was just getting some reference shots basically by watching that again. Regardless. So just doing simple details like that to give it a more life, more buildings, because it is, again, a town. Here I'm trying to figure out what my entrance of my ride's going to be, so Hondo's Salvage Yard is the name, so I need to figure out what is the entrance of this salvage yard, because he sells a whole bunch of salvage and stuff like that to any space traveler around, and I need to make it look like a proper ride entrance at the same time. And also I wanted to try to figure out how to cover up the Vanilla's in-game queue line. So I basically did with that arch, and I think another metal gradient. Yeah, I did a metal arch grate, and then a little cut through the fence of the brick wall to kind of give you an idea which way the queue line goes. Because this back end of the cantina is just a back end, and there's a door for employees to come in and out of. Because I didn't really make a backstage area, because I didn't really think it needed to happen. Because again, there is a depot in the cantina that's connected to the main depot that gets its supplies. So I kind of just it's fine. It's just a place to sit down, because there's also another spot where you can see the roller coaster from different angles. Again, I like the idea of making the pathways close enough to the coaster's interactions with low parts, like I think the helix and then the cobra roll that does over here, over to the left, kind of places for the path to interact with the guests, kind of look at in awe at this coaster. So on to making the sign. What you don't see here, I'll just make a little note on, is that I did a little bit of like custom fonts with the text engine by doing some dashes, and I put them on the edges of the H and the O and the N. You'll see in the final product on the Hondo's part to make it look like it's scratch built or something, or a little bit different alien looking. It was just a very simple sign. It was made of cubes, and the green part where Hondo's name is windows flipped on both sides, so it can cover up these cross sections, and then some gears to give it that mechanical look or dynamic animation. And then we jumped over here to I'm not going to call it a spaceport. I think it's more like a cargo facility, because there's going to be I'm going to build a spaceship on top of it. This is the spaceship that I'm going to design. It's basically going to copy the one that's from Star Wars Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland and Walt Disney World. So I kind of just copied that ship. I'm not sure what the ship's name or model number or whatever Star Wars is going to call it. It's probably just a freighter, most likely a small in-planet freighter that kind of just goes around and delivers product or supplies or materials, whatever. So it's just kind of a very basic ship. So it was a nice idea to kind of hide my motion simulators in there. Kind of a good way to do it. And then I did a platform very basic shapes, well, just basic roofing, and then borders to identify the sides of it, and then some fuel tanks on top to suggest that the ship can refuel here, and then a door that is like an elevator that would lead you up to the actual landing platform, and then some alien type of Tatooine type of flying saucer top. It's like a tower or something. Very, very simple, but it actually makes it look alien. Again, I don't know. It's with the design of making things round makes it alien, which is an interesting concept actually. So I think that's cool. So on to experimentation, where I figure out how to make this ship look somewhat Star Warsy and somewhat unique and different in some of the other spaceships I have made before. So I kind of was just winging it as usual, just kind of experimentation on the shapes and giving myself a outline in sorts is actually a really fun way, an easy way to kind of fix get you started on something that's custom built like this, because making custom props is kind of a difficult thing to get your head around, and pre-planning a little bit and then pulling up reference pictures of said ship that I'm working on, and then do some testing with pieces by putting them out in space basically, and just give yourself an outline. It kind of helps with how it will build itself eventually. That's the best way I can describe the train of thought that I have in my head when I do things of this custom oriented, because I am not following instructions whatsoever. I'm just following a reference and then going with my gut of how this ship should look like. And I already knew that the ship is going to be my cargo ship, so the center is already basically done. There's nothing in the center. It'll have cargo and stuff. I had to figure out that it had a wing of some sort, so I'm going to make a wing that goes, or a tail, and then 2 engines are going to be attached on either side. And you can see as it kind of forms itself, it looks like a spaceship. It doesn't have wings because it's a spaceship. Spaceships don't need wings in Star Wars, so I'm not sure how that technology works. But again, I think this is a planetary cargo delivery system ship, not meant to go out in space. But if push comes to shove, I think it can go into space. I don't think it even has. I don't think it would even have a hyperspeed generator. It probably wouldn't, because it's too small. It's not like an X-wing or well, not TIE fighters don't have them. Y-wings have them. What else has them? I can't remember. Regardless, this wouldn't have it. So I was experimenting with some different not piece usage, just different pieces to give that engine that it's glowing, it's on, it's ready to go. And then I recolor some of the blocks to make them different boxes, to make it kind of more chaotic and different. And I like the ship. It looks pretty cool. Oh, I should put a number on it. I might number it later because it's a ship, so ships get numbers. And then quick detailing on roofing, add some more blemishes here and there for this unpleasant world of Tatooine. It's all just gritty and sandy and junk everywhere. And speaking of junk, I'm going to work on a giant engine piece that's kind of embedded itself into the sand. It's kind of part of Hondo's salvage yard, so I just kind of gotta make up an engine. Just gotta make it up. Kind of give it that rustic, broken down part, so it's not going to be fully made. So it's going to have some missing parts out of it, and some discoloration, some pieces sticking out or hanging off of it, and then sand kind of built up on top of it. That's why I built some of the half spheres in the color of the sand, of the dirt, to kind of give it that unkept look. It's kind of just piled in there. It looks like it's just dug itself in, like it landed or something, or it just crashed. Maybe not more like, maybe it's crashed, and that's why it's being salvaged as it is. It's kind of just being pulled apart piece by piece. Whenever you need to get a piece, you just go up to it, take a piece off or something, or take off an engine part and things like that, and just kind of go from there. So it just kind of is a centerpiece, I think, in a little bit to kind of add to this helix. Yeah, I think it's a cool idea. And then some borders kind of sticking out. The tire pieces. Tire pieces are really cool to use since they are recolorable. Kind of just stack them. It looks like piles of gears or piles of rope or just piles of metal. Just kind of just messing around with how pieces are. And kind of just made some, I think those are border pieces on top of those squares that kind of just stagger. Kind of looks weird. And then miscolored some of the steampunk pipes to give it that rusty look, like it's really old. And the top is just a whole bunch of pillars in different states of decay or different states of stripped metal, and so it just kind of gives that, like, it could have continued, like the engine's bigger than this, but the top is gone, completely gone, or something like that. And then tarps of, yeah, just tarps of cloth that were put up for maybe a worker to come by, work inside that little area. They're covered up so they don't get hurt by the sun, and just kind of work from there. And then they just left the tarp because it's just kind of, it's salvage. It's not very kept up. It's just kind of there. And then I added some, I think, some banners to kind of give it that tethered look of more cloth being hung from it, but then that got ripped off and just hung off from the ship's engine, and then it just kind of sits there. I even threw barrels in there. Yeah, I threw some barrels in there and some sandbags. I'm just throwing any kind of knickknack at it to give that junkyard look. So I think this really pulled itself off really well with this junkyard type of feel. And I felt like a little bit of, there's that scrapyard in episode 1. I forgot the name of that scrapyard. But it kind of reminds me of that. And speaking of X-Wings, I took one of my pre-made blueprints that I made, I think it was about 2 years ago when I made this X-Wing. And I decided to just bury it into the ground and then get rid of one of the wings and then just kind of make it a wrecked X-Wing. Kind of just sitting here. And Hondo has it in his possessions to have in his junkyard. So it's just kind of a weird idea. I'm like, okay, well, it's a recognizable ship from any Star Wars fan. So I kind of felt like it was a necessary thing to do right here in the dirt. It's being pulled apart piece by piece, engine pieces and things like that, or electrical parts. You also saw me do a little bit of custom supporting. Again, custom supporting I think is really important for this coaster because how well, it's not unnatural. The coaster looks really good and it's built really well. I think coaster be used Coaster Anarchy, and it's really well done layout. So adding the custom supports really adds more character to it, more detail, and I do like that about it. But that's why I don't show much about coaster supporting because it's such a boring task to do. So regardless, I built the X-Wing with a little bit of a broken laser blaster, or yes, what do you call it, laser blaster? I'm not sure what it's called actually. I don't know. Regardless, moving on because I don't remember what they're called. But also I had to remove some of the pieces below because, again, the X-Wing was visible underground. I got rid of some of that so that we don't run into some frame issues for players who are not in higher computers. On to something really cool. I had my brother work on some custom signage for me because I felt like the town of this little town in Tatooine somewhere needed like Galactic Empire propaganda and some Star Tours posters and some graffiti in the town. So he made a whole bunch of art for me. It was really cool. So it was really nice of him to do that, and it was kind of a cool thing to do. So I'm going to leave you guys here with the rest of this, and there will be a small overview, and I'll see you guys in the next video.